It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Good Tuesday morning. It is January the 14th, and man, if there was ever going to be an unfun day, it's today. Oh, baby, Unfun Facts in less than an hour. Unfun Facts in just a few minutes. But let's have some fun before we get to the unfun, shall we? On Tuesday morning, the top 5 and 6, let's roll. Number 1. If you know anybody looking for work right now, how about a $45,000 one-year gig plus health benefits, travel expenses, and a 401k? All they got to do is drive around the country in a nutmobile.
I'm in.
Sold.
Yeah,
nice.
done.
I'm not talking about a car that looks like a scrotum. I'm talking about the Planters Peanut Nutmobile.
So not a Prius.
No, it's not a Prius. It is not a Prius. It's not quite the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, but it's pretty darn close. It's a 26-foot long peanut, essentially. And right now, Planters Peanuts is looking for somebody. If you're interested, beapeanutter.com. They're looking for someone to drive around, be a brand ambassador. You have to have, get this, a bachelor's degree, preferably in communications, advertising, PR, one of those sort of things.
They hand those out online.
I do.
God, I can get one in 15 minutes.
There's a if I'm not mistaken, there's a university down in the Virgin Islands, and they just allow you just tell them what you already majored in, and they say, sure, here, give us $1,000. You can buy that degree in a second. So this is going to be the 4th time they've had a class of what they call peanutters. If you want to be a peanutter, listen, I got a young man, I got a 24-year-old son looking for work. I'm half tempted to say, hey, dude, get on it.
I would take this job and then just spend the entire year driving around looking for the Wienermobile. If you're in the Nutmobile, how are you not looking for the Wienermobile? By the way, a little bit of a disappointment when the Wienermobile came by the radio station one day. I'm like, I got to get in this thing. So we all go out, we take a picture with it. I'm like, dude, I got to go in there. This is Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Yeah. But no, it's not. Yeah. There's not a bunch of weenies on those rollers with condiments everywhere and little Oompas waiting to serve you delicious wieners. No, it was just it was rather sparse. The outside, that's where all the action is.
I saw the Wienermobile once in Florida on tour, walked outside of the hotel, and there it was. And there was a guy in it. And I walked through, I was like, hey, man, nice ride. And we chatted for a minute. And I said, so how's the car? And he goes, oh, the AC's kind of rough. And I was like, you're in Florida. It's July. You're driving around in a Wienermobile, and he's sweating like he's in a sauna. Like, man, at least get the air working there. Right. But anyway, the Hot Dogger program, it goes from June to June. Beapeanutter.com. There are worse ways to spend a year if you're young and you got your health, I guess.
Hell yeah.
Number 4 on your top 5 and 6. No surprise to anybody with kids in their 20s. Gen Z is absolutely, apparently, task challenged. A new survey, 21% of people 18 to 27-year-old did not know what a wrench was.
What is that's something, something you throw at your vehicle when it won't start.
That's exactly right. 30% of Gen Z's polled did not know what a flathead screwdriver was.
And with the Phillips?
And I guess so. A 34% were only 34% could identify a car battery from a picture of a car engine.
Where do they put the car battery now? Good luck trying to find that sucker. It's in there somewhere. No, I usually find the battery. Why do they need to know these things? Who cares? They're AI robots. And I'm not even kidding around here. Going to take care of all. There's a reason they don't know this crap. You don't need to know this stuff anymore. This is just for old people to bitch about the younger generation.
That's exactly right. The idea that every car that you have bought in the last 20 years tells you everything that could possibly go wrong with it before it goes wrong. My kids do know how to change a wiper blade. They do know how to change a tire, but I wouldn't trust either of them to get it right. You know what I mean? Like, They got the lesson once, but then again, I just don't imagine it happening. For that matter, there's a service called TaskRabbit. If you need some work done around the house, you could book a guy and he shows up. And, when I moved to Minneapolis a couple years ago, I had TaskRabbit in several times. Like, hey, I want to mount this TV on the wall. I can do it. But if I do it, it'll be 85% done correctly. And all I'll notice is the slight tilt that no one else will ever notice. But I will only see that. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather pay a guy $40 to do it right.
Yeah, first TV I hung way up near the ceiling. I just kind of centered it in the wall where I thought it would go. Then once you hang the TV on there, it's like 1 inch from the ceiling. And all my buddies would come in and go, "Oh, why is your TV hanging way up there on the wall?" I'm like, just shut up.
Shut up.
Sit out. Just sit further away. We just got to sit in the dining room, and then it looks perfect.
Man, that just sounds...
whatever, you know.
That just sounds so cringe to me. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm already jumping ahead. Number 3 in your top 5 at 6. Lake Superior State every year puts out a list of banished words. These are the words they're like, please stop using these. And cringe is number 1. They say it's overused. So to say something is cringe. I've never used that word in a sentence. My kids have a million times. And I'm always like, I'm with Lake Superior State on this one. There are several words they're saying, just stop them all, right? A game changer. Oh, yeah, that's a real game changer. Unless you're watching a game, I'm with you. Stop saying that. This is the tough one, especially for our Canadian friends. Lake Superior State would like us to stop saying sorry, not sorry.
Oh my
Sorry,
gosh.
Not sorry. It's the half-hearted apology masquerading as bold honesty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's going to cut the Canadian vocabulary in half.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
And then this is another one, too. And by the way, I have noticed this one, utilize. A lot of people say utilize instead of just saying use it. Well, I was unable to utilize my skill set. Like, shut up. That just makes me think of the fact that, I notice this all the time. We've talked about it. There's something about the average guy in the street getting a camera shoved in his face with a microphone, the local guy on the street TV interview. Everyone immediately goes to words they would never use otherwise. And that's the perfect example of that. I found myself, the truth is I was rambling down the street here and you just rambling down the street. Who talks like that? They try to get good, smart, good words on TV. I love it.
Yeah.
Number 2, good news, gentlemen. If you're having any sort of trouble, older guys, not elderly, but just older guys, if you're having a little bit of ED, any sort of erectile dysfunction, a new study has shown grape juice could be your new best friend.
Ooh, a little wine, huh?
Great. No, grape juice, literally, like Welch's.
Without the alcohol?
Go get some grape juice, man. Men who drink grape juice 5 times a week or more saw an 80% decrease in ED struggles. This was a lengthy study in China. They said they were looking at the benefits of tomato, apple, orange, and pineapple juice, lemonade, meal replacement drinks, anything. Grape juice is the only thing that stood out as a libido booster.
Well, I hate to piss up their leg here over there in China with this, but a little news flash. We solved ED, about 20 years ago?
Sure
In
did.
fact, if you wait till the next commercial break, we're going to try to sell you some ED pills.
Yeah.
They can be delivered in a 500-count bucket to your house in about an hour. So, or why don't you whip up some grape juice?
I will say
grape
this.
juice.
I will say this. If I'm running Welch's Juice Company right now, I'm all over this.
Yeah, no
I have
doubt.
a whole new set of commercials coming forward. You think that you want to see 2 people sitting in 2 separate bathtubs watching the sunset? Oh, I'll just add a glass of grape juice to that scene, and we are in the money, ladies and gentlemen.
What's that say if your wife or your significant other brings home grape juice, in the grocery bag? What's this mean? What are you suggesting? With the grape juice. You drink the grape juice. Grape juice.
Fun fact, I drink grape juice all the time. I do. I love grape. And I will only drink, it's only 4 or 5 ounces. It's not like you
White
can
or
drink
red?
a whole glass. Like purple, the dark red.
Yeah,
but it's purple color. They call it red. I will go for just a small glass of grape juice once a day. Done it for years. I love grape juice.
All right.
In small doses.
I thought you were just happy to see me.
No. It's a combination. A, love the flavor, and B, hung like a draft horse. What can I tell you? Hey, check this out. I would love to take a moment here and switch gears entirely and say, hey, good morning, Arden Hills. What's happening up there?
No.
Arden Hills, the good people of Arden Hills. We're thinking of you. Glad to have you with us.
How many
on a
hills do
Tuesday
they have?
morning. Just enough.
Yeah.
We got just the right amount up there.
At least 2.
Yeah. All right.
All right. We have to do this. It's time to put our fingers into the fan. Last night in Arizona, the Minnesota Vikings Vikinged themselves out of the NFL season. But the good news is they lost 31-9 a week ago to the Lions. This was only 27-9. So they're 4 points better a week later.
You know what I love about that, Steve? We got a couple of pieces of audio we want to share here for you. Guess which year this is from?
Vikings fans stewing in woulda, coulda, shouldas.
We had a good time this season, but it would be nice to have next week, too.
We were so ready, and then now what a letdown.
They're a better team. Few people were willing to stop and chat filing out of the stadium, and the ones who didn't have many nice things to say.
It kind of sucked.
But we found one.
We had a good season. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get it done, but we're going to regroup next year and come back hungrier than ever.
You always need hope, especially as a Minnesota Vikings fan.
That was from 1992. No
way.
No, that was just last year. But I'm going to save that piece of audio.
2 years. Oh yeah, that was 2 years ago when they lost to the Giants.
2 years. I'm sorry, 2 years ago. Yeah,
my first playoff loss as a Minnesota resident, now 2 out of 3 years, first round loss. Last night, Sam Darnold was sacked 87 times. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Aaron Donald retired before this season, and he got a sack. How does that even happen?
He came out of the press box, out of the owner's box, down to the field, just a sack. Sam Darnold, hold on to that ball, Sam. Now, listen, they did get the pressure up the middle, and he had a significant amount of pressure, but, he just dropped a dookie again right there on the field, hanging onto that ball. I felt like he went to the sideline somewhere right around the beginning of the second quarter and said, "You guys, listen. I know this is weird, but I've completely forgotten how to play football. I'm having a brain fart here. What do we do again? I take the ball from the center, and then what happens?"
Gotta give the Rams young and rapidly improving defense second half of the season was all over us. Our offensive line play was terrible. But
suddenly
yes, Darnold went back to the I forgot I have to get rid of the ball routine, which we saw in New York for years.
Yeah.
And it just speaks to I almost think his performance in the last 2 weeks is even more of a shine on the job Kevin O'Connell did coaching him. If that's what you were dealing with and you got 14 wins, then my God, nice job, dude. I will say, by the way, real quick, and then we'll bounce out of here. The Vikings did get hosed on that defensive touchdown that was taken away from them.
Yeah, I saw that one.
The strip sack on Stafford, then the refs gave the touchdown.
Well, it wasn't a strip sack. He never touched the ball. Stafford did shuffle the ball out. If Stafford just holds on to the ball, no one knocked it out of his hands. He gave the ball up. So, they wouldn't have won the game anyway. But I thought, but he tries to get rid of it.
I had it on the Manning cast, and Bill Belichick immediately goes, "Oh, they're going to call that a pass. This league never does defense any favors." Belichick was disgusted, the look on his face. This is an offensive league. It was great. No, but you're right. They weren't going to win that game. A lot of decisions to be made. Sam Darnold, and I say this very sincerely, I feel for the man because he just took millions of dollars out of his own pocket in the last 2 games.
At least 10 a year.
And millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very unfortunate time to turn back into a pumpkin for Sam Darnold. The season's over. We still have more unfun facts to get into, if you can believe that. So there is your top 5 at 6. You know the old saying, right? Hey, is a horse's nostril flaring nearby, or are you just glad to see me? Hang tight.
Uh-oh.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
No.
A couple in Florida is no longer a couple because the woman in this couple, the day after Christmas, she called the police and said, "Hey, I just found my boyfriend. He was out back next to my horse. He was standing next to my horse. He had his pants down, he was, trying to have a moment with my horse." Now, but here's
like an intimate moment.
Yes, and here's where. And by the way, here's where it gets weird. If it's not weird already, he was standing in front of the horse, by the horse's head, and that horse had those big flared nostrils. And the gentleman, he just saw a moment there that he thought was special between he and this very large animal. She called the police. They came out, and dude owned up to it. He said, sorry, my bad. I saw that flared nostril, and it just did something to me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so this is in Polk County, Florida.
What?
And luckily, the sheriff of that county, Grady Judd, well, he's happy to talk about it and kind of have a good time with this, as insane as this sounds.
He said, well, I had just some sexual frustration. Donald Calloway, who's 53 from Lake Wells, admitted that because he was trying to do the wow thing with the horse. She said, nay.
So,
that's right.
No.
He tried to engage in inappropriate conduct with a horse, which is clearly against the law. Does Donald not know that a horse will bite you?
Yeah, I got a scar on my arm, by the way, where old Nugget, my quarter horse growing up, bit me. Because I was, you do that thing where you lead them, you got to hold them up by the rein, right, or up by the head strap or whatever it's called. I forget how many years. And I left some loose rein, and he just gave me a good old bite on the arm to let me know he was there. And you whipped your wiener out right next to a horse. Have you looked at those teeth? Buddy, you're lucky. Your ex busted you on that. Sexually frustrated. Speaking of ex, I've been sexually frustrated. I know that's hard to believe.
Sure.
And you find yourself at 2 o'clock in the morning texting an ex, which you always regret.
Yeah.
And then you end up with a $70 Pornhub bill. That's sexually frustrated, brother. Not whipping it out. A horse's nostril? What did
this
you...
is
what the... And you're whipping out a carrot. You're sticking a carrot in his face. Okay. Good call.
The best case scenario for this guy is what happened. You know what I mean?
Yes,
it could have only ended up worse with that horse right there. I've never been bitten by a horse. I have had a llama get a hold of me at a petting zoo. Got the back of my head, grabbed my hair, a little bit of a scalp. Yeah, not cool at all. But that's a llama, and they're very docile. A horse, that'll hurt you. By the way, the horse had in no way was injured. There was no the horse is fine.
Mentally scarred.
Mentally scarred, sure. But I would be very, very careful if whoever the next dude to approach that horse is.
Yeah. Well, here's what you do. This is the old Hammurabi. I don't know if that's what the eye for an eye kind of thing. The horse takes his wiener and sticks it up his nose.
Man.
Get her done.
As I said, this could have only been worse. Any scenario we draw up is worse than him simply getting arrested without incident. But of all the reasons you break up with somebody, I mean, they don't listen when I talk. They don't help around the house. He's obsessed with my horse's nostrils. I mean, that is just, my God. And I almost feel bad saying this, but just a reminder, of course, this happened in Florida. All right, we need to look back. It is January the 14th. On this day in 1968, Super Bowl II goes to the Green Bay Packers. They crushed the Oakland Raiders 33-14 for the second straight year. Super Bowl I and II go to the Packers. Bart Starr, game's MVP. He had one touchdown pass through for 202 yards. The Raiders went on to become a dominant team for the next 20 years, whereas Lombardi retired and the Packers went kind of into the ditch for about a quarter of a century. They've certainly turned it around since Brett Favre came back in. This was not known as Super Bowl II. At the time, it was known as the second AFL-NFL World Championship game.
Catchy.
It was only during the next season that NFL owner Lamar Hunt convinced Commissioner Pete Rozelle to call it the Super Bowl. Where did he get the idea for the name Super Bowl? He was watching his daughter bounce a Super Ball. And he thought, well, they got the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl. We could have the Super Bowl. And then he also said, and let's add Roman numerals to the game's title. It makes it seem more significant. And on both counts, Lamar Hunt was right.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he knew a thing or two about a thing or two.
So, yeah, back in the time, AFL-NFL World Championship game doesn't really ring. It's quite like Super Bowl. On this day in 2001, hey, as long as we're suffering, let's look back on the fact that the New York Giants beat the Vikings in the NFC Championship game 41-0.
Oh, yeah, I'll never forget where I was.
Which was?
Out at Afton Alps. I'd gone out there to do some skiing. We had one of those NASCAR races that day, and everyone was crowded in there. We decided not to do the race because we wanted to watch the Vikings, juggernauts that season, surely roll over the New York Giants, although I believe it was in New York. Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, wild card.
This was the NFC Championship.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It was, yeah.
This was 381 yards, 5 touchdown passes for Kerry Collins.
That's right. Penn Stater.
Yowza. That's right. Penn Stater. Yeah. The Giants then turned around and just got absolutely humiliated by the Ravens in the Super Bowl. 34-7. Their only touchdown on a special teams, a punt return, I believe. Couldn't. Kerry Collins did nothing in the Super Bowl that year.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
I'm tired of having fun. It's time for some Unfun Facts for you, for me, for all of us. How about this one? You know, your turn signal's your friend, right? We all know this. 2 million people cause accidents every year by not using their turn signals. 2 million! And I probably am responsible for at least one. I'm unaware of it. But I was a not needing my turn signal guy for years. I look back with shame and embarrassment. I would think, I'm far enough ahead of that guy. I don't need a turn signal. There's no one at this 4-way stop. Why should I tell them which way I'm going to turn? I just overthought it. And my wife one day goes, I've just got to say, if you use your turn signal every time, it's less thought. Like, just don't ever think of it. Just use it.
Yeah.
And you won't cause an accident. No one will ever blame you. Just use it every single time you change lanes or make a turn. And it's way easier than looking in your mirrors to determine whether you should use it. And I looked at her and I said, let me tell you something. That kind of makes sense.
My dad used to always say, you paid for it, use it.
I like that one.
Dad.
Yeah.
I was at a 4-way stop by the building yesterday and waiting to make a left turn. One car across from me at the stoplight decided to turn left, the other one right. Neither of them used their signals. I was like, come on, people.
Yeah.
Get it together.
Just progress that they actually inched into the intersection and didn't just sit there and stare at each other. No, you go. No, you go.
Yeah, you didn't pay extra for that turn signal. It comes with the car. I mean, it's not like True Coat, it's not one of those. Worldwide statistics show about 85% of public bathroom users don't wash their hands afterwards.
Yeah. You know what I don't do? I don't piss on my hands.
Yeah.
I know. I'm real good about that. I make darn sure. I wash my private area regularly.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily it's not a disgusting thing to have my hands near. It's clean. Soap residue, if anything. I'm not as worried about it if I can't get to the sink.
You know what has a lot of germs? Bathroom sinks.
Sure do.
And then the paper towel thing. If it's all touchless, then maybe if it's all touchless, then I go ahead and wash my hands. But if I have to touch the sink or there's those damn air blow things, those dryers, hell no, man. Those things throw around more bacteria in a bathroom than, dunking your head in a porta potty.
Damn straight. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Brian's a scientist.
Kind of. I mean,
and he knows of what he speaks.
I've got a lab coat.
That's right. Scurvy. You know that old throwback disease, scurvy, we always wonder about.
Yeah.
In extreme cases of scurvy, you lose your teeth. A lot of things happen, but it's not just new problems. Old wounds will reopen. Scars break down, and the wound that scar covered will reopen. Collagen keeps scars together, and that collagen maintains itself throughout our lives. But if you don't get any vitamin C and you get a full-blown case of scurvy, that process halts and the collagen breaks down. And yes, an old scar suddenly is an open wound again.
Mm-hmm. That's why several times a week I pour a little orange juice in my vodka.
Yep, that's a very, very good point. Just enough. All you need is a tiny hint of color. That's plenty.
Just a little.
Yeah. Check this out. This is important information for this time of year in this part of the world. Hypothermia. Victims of hypothermia can and will, in extreme cases, experience something they call paradoxical undressing.
Okay.
If you watched, what's the True Detective, the Jodie Foster season that just ran last year, there was some paradoxical undressing. This is what it is. During the later stages of hypothermia, as your nerves are damaged, people experiencing this will feel irrationally hot, and they will remove all of their clothing. They feel like they're burning up as they're freezing. So just adding insult to injury, really. That's a rough one. If you see somebody out in the cold, if you see someone out in the cold ripping their clothes off, they're either tripping balls or they've already got a really severe case of hypothermia. In either case, I'd recommend pretend you didn't see it and just keep going on about your business.
Yeah, don't get involved.
Yeah, no, nothing good coming out of that interaction.
Maybe record it with your phone and then move on.
Here's another one. Speaking of cold weather opportunities and experiences, in the Soviet Union, in Siberia, there are a lot of gulags, prison camps, work camps for centuries. And veteran criminals in those gulags, the guys who really kind of knew the score, they would always want to have like a breakout. They would say like, hey, let's break out. Or they would just look ahead and recognize when the winter comes, the Siberian winter comes, even if we're still in prison, sometimes the food sources get disrupted.
Oh.
It can get pretty meager here.
Uh-oh.
And so during the summer months when things are bountiful, they would recruit like their own gang. Like they'd get a little posse. Hey, man, this naive young prisoner. Hey, man, I'll protect you. Come with me. They would surround themselves with some naive prisoners.
All right.
They called them cows. The sole purpose of getting your own group of young prisoners was so you would have them there available for you if they do run out of food and you can eat your young prisoner friend.
Yeah. I mean,
How about you spend 6 months? You always hear about people getting groomed. Oh, I groomed this person. This is a whole different level. No. Come on. I'll protect you from that other gang over there. And by the way, around February, I'm probably going to eat you. Sorry.
I mean, I know they do things like take your shoelaces away when you go into jail so you can't hang yourself or whatever, but there's got to be a way to frickin' kill yourself in that kind of scenario, man.
I would hope so.
You want my meat, it's going to be cold.
Still going to get eaten then.
That's all right. But, I just don't want to know. I mean, I'm taking I don't even know what the hell to say to that. Yikes.
I don't know. Maybe you could ingest some sort of poison that puts toxins throughout your whole body.
Oh, now you're
that'll
thinking.
pay him back. And then he goes after goes in there and goes after your internal organs, and they're all toxified from the poison you drank, and then he dies too. Joke's on him.
I like this movie you're writing, man.
I'll tell you what. It's a slow.
That's brilliant.
Talk about a dish best served cold. Good
yeah.
Lord. If you ever find yourself at the Denver airport, you've probably seen a giant statue called Blue Mustang, a giant glass blue horse with glowing red eyes. Locals in Denver call it Blucifer. It's a kind of a. I've seen it, and I'm like, well, that's kind of nasty looking, weird blue horse. But here's the deal that's really unfun. The sculptor commissioned in the 90s to put this thing together. It's a 32-foot tall statue. He missed a few deadlines during the course. The city paid him $300,000. They gave him a commission. They had paid him half of that up front. He was missing deadlines. At some point he had a heart attack. He required surgery on his hands. He was late. The city sued him. He countersued. And then they said, mediators came in and said, look, stop suing the guy. He had a heart attack. His hands are messed up. He can now finish the sculpture. So they all agreed, okay, you go on and finish it. He went back to his studio in New Mexico. The artist, his name was Armando Jimenez. Luis Jimenez. I don't need his middle name in this. He was finishing the statue at his studio in New Mexico. One of the sculpture's 3 sections came loosed from a hoist. It pinned him against a steel support beam and severed an artery in his leg, and he bled to death on his studio floor.
Oh, no.
Now that's art. That's commitment right there.
Dying for his art, man. After his death, friends and family were wondering if we should leave the sculpture incomplete or destroy it or complete it. They finally said, let's just finish it and hang it up there. And so now when you see this bizarre blue statue in Denver, instead of thinking that's a really ugly statue, you can go, oh, it's even worse. It killed its creator.
I respect Murder Horse now. I don't like what happened to him, but I like Murder Horse. Not enough to stick my wiener in his nose. I mean, if you were here an hour ago.
Blucifer the Murder Horse. It's a good name. I like it too. So CNN, cable news network, the first 24-hour news service in this country, originally founded and owned by Ted Turner. If you remember, Ted Turner, before the network launched in 1980, ordered a video to be made. He said, well, I knew this was going to be a 24-hour-a-day news channel. Therefore, it would only sign off once, ever. And if that happened, it would mean the end of the world. So he prepared a videotape for the end of the world so that CNN could play something as the world was ending.
That guy, a visionary.
Listen to this. This is a quote. We combined armed forces marching bands, the Army, Navy, Marine, and Air Force bands, took them out to the old CNN headquarters, and we had them practice the national anthem for videotaping. And then as things cranked up, I asked if they'd play Nearer, My God, to Thee, just in case the world ever came to an end. That would be the last thing CNN played before we signed off. And Ted Turner goes, I'll tell you what, the guys in those military bands knew what I was up to. When I watch the tape, I get tears in my eyes every time. Did I mention that billionaire Ted Turner's completely crazy?
Oh, yeah. Well known out in an area of Montana that I hang out. He owns about half that area, by the way.
And he does.
And they kind of like him, I think. Better than a Chinese owner is what I keep hearing. Well, he's better than a Chinese owner, I suppose. A fun little documentary on CNN being founded, if you guys ever want to track it down. I enjoyed it, called Anchorman 2.
He is a pretty fascinating guy. I mean best observed at arm's length, to be sure. Finally, here's an unfun fact. In 1876, in the state of Kentucky, the Kentucky meat shower occurred. It is exactly what it sounds like. Giant chunks of meat fell from the sky over a town in Kentucky. Locals talked about it for years and then decades, and now for 150 years. It's a story. Eyewitness accounts at the time said it was enough to fill a horse wagon full of meat. And here's the crazy thing. It was like rural lore. You're like, remember when that meat shower happened in Kentucky? And there's a university down there. Transylvania University is in Lexington. And some doctors and our scientists, some professors were like, people say they've saved this meat in jars, and it's been passed down from generation to generation. They came up with some of this jar. It was a small chunk of flesh floating in an amber liquid, and they ran a bunch of tests. And by the way, the meat that fell from the sky, locals were eating it. They were like, well, hey, it's meat. Don't want it to go to waste.
Meat from heaven, man. I think I would run to CNN to watch the end of the world tape if it started meat. That sounds like an old pickup line of mine. How'd you like to join me for a meat shower? Yeah.
Eric Clapton's hit Tears of Heaven. He originally wrote Meat from Heaven, and then he rewrote it after the tragedy with his kid to Tears from Heaven.
Where'd it come from?
Here's what they determined. Long story short, this was meat that was projectile vomited from vultures flying overhead.
Oh, come on.
The theory is that an awful lot of vultures, a startled, recently fed group of vultures over the town just all vomited. They can be super acidic, and if a vulture, they tend to gorge themselves, and it's not unusual for a vulture to then take flight, realize they're way heavier than they need to be, and so then they want to get up quickly. They vomit to lighten the load. They'll even vomit as they take off. Apparently it was not a meat shower from heaven. It was simply vomit puke.
All right. Well,
there is your unfun facts for Tuesday, January the 14th. How about that, huh? Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Let's move on. You're not going to find any meat vomit in Becker, Minnesota. I can promise you that. Good morning, Becker. I say that. I mean, hey, if you're in Becker and someone throws up some meat on you, please let us know about it. But I'm just assuming you're probably good to go without that happening. You know the expression "cold as hell"? I saw something just the other day, like a little video on Instagram, and they said the actual expression is "cold as hail." Hail is cold.
That makes more sense.
Cold. Oh, man, that's cold as hail. And then because of accents and people mishearing things over the years, it turned into cold as hell, which makes no sense because hell is, of course, hot. Or is it? Because this just in, apparently, hell is actually really, really cold. It's not a lake of fire. It's far from that. I'll explain. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, January the 14th, and good God, it is cold outside.
Damn it.
We're not going to see zero for another few hours.
No.
Man.
It's just angry cold. That's where you just step outside and you're just effing angry.
It's cold as hell. Not hail. It's not cold as hail. The actual expression started as cold as hail, and then it turned into cold as hell, and then we've all said, well, hell's not cold, is it? Apparently, hell may very well be cold, and I'll tell you why. A man recently died for 3 minutes, and he was resuscitated, and he's painting a very different picture of hell. A gentleman who has suffered a drug overdose. This is a lengthy screed and a Q&A type of deal on Reddit. Here's the information. A drug overdose nearly killed him. He flatlined for 3 minutes. 3 minutes, flatline feels like 3 years, I would imagine. He was revived miraculously, and apparently this is what he is here to share with us after coming back from the brink. He remembers having a stroke while being OD'd, while being overdosed. He remembers being wheeled to the ambulance on a stretcher. And then he felt, as the flatlining was going down, that he felt like he was floating under ice-cold water, and it was dark. But he wasn't really thinking or feeling anything emotionally. He was just simply existing, and he knew it was very, very, very cold, and he couldn't see. And then while recovering in the hospital, he saw vivid images of hell, but it was extremely cold and not the lake of fire that we've all been led to believe hell will be.
That's a bummer.
Well, it's all made up, but
by the lake of fire.
Right. Some marshmallows.
Yeah.
And he went on to say he believed he was in hell, but before the suffering started, he was brought back to life, and now he has a very lasting and very vivid preview of what he can expect if he doesn't turn his life around.
All right. And you said he died of a drug overdose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure that didn't affect what he was feeling or thinking at any. All right. Gotcha. So now hell isn't. Yeah, it's not Arizona, it's Minnesota.
No, this was a combination opioid and ketamine and hallucinogen going on together, I feel like. So this is the kind of thing that blows my mind about guys like this. It's like, okay, so you're telling me that if you had been raised in another culture where there was no such thing as heaven or hell, and this happened to you, you would have still seen not a lake. You would be, I was expecting a lake of fire. No, you weren't. You'd be expecting whatever you were told the afterlife was. Yeah. This is not an indication of what we can all look forward to. I appreciate the fact that you went through something that has meaning to you. But I gotta say, if you're gonna turn your life around simply because you don't want to be cold in the afterlife, there's a few more books you might want to read first. I'm just gonna get a little more information, study, brush up, buddy, do better. That's what I'm gonna say.
Now let's be honest, he's already stoned again.
I hope
Probably.
so.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what? If he's not stoned, can you imagine how devastating it is to sit around with him? How boring he would be.
Yeah.
You have to understand, man. I'm telling you, man. I'm totally calm. I'm cool. It was ice. I was under ice. Dude.
Well, Dante's Inferno, the lowest level of hell was what, a frozen lake of blood, wasn't it?
If you say so, this guy will tell you.
I don't know.
Listen, man, I'm not trying to scare you. Look, man, we all have our own journey. We're mutual travelers on a journey here. But I'm just saying, this is what happened to me, man, and I think you should take it seriously. Oh my God! Hand that guy a bong and a bib and a gag and just get on with it. Lord. I would have a hard time. I mean, if you came into work tomorrow and had this story, man, guys, I flatlined and the paramedics brought me back over the weekend. We would be entirely concerned. But if you told me I know what the afterlife is, I love you, brother, and I'd be like, I mean, seriously, I'd have to say, which is something I really don't like to say, but at some point you would hear me say, brother, with all due respect. Get the hell out of my face. I don't want to hear about it. The only thing worse than listening to someone talk about either their fantasy football league or the dream they had last night is listening to their trip to the afterlife.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, whatever. I mean, I'm focused on this one right here, It has its ups and downs. Afterlife? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you say so.
I think it's best to just get there and to handle it in real time. Don't look forward. Don't look to the afterlife. If you find yourself in the afterlife, and whatever it is, hey man, good for you. You made it. At least you're not floating in some gelatinous goo for all of eternity. You actually made it through and got somewhere.
Yeah. No, I haven't got time for it. Sorry. As far as I know, you get one go around, and if you do it right, that's enough.
Yeah, because you know what? The truth is, once you're gone, you just really hope everyone says nice things about you. And that's all you can hope for. And then within a few years, they're like, what was that guy's name? He was here? Oh, Zepp. Yeah, that's right. Great dude. Love that guy. Love that dude, man. He was awesome.
Probably take about 10 years after my death for it to kind of flip for me. No, he was great. He was generous, kind. I remember usually in the morning just sort of a happy-go-lucky. Frivolous is the word. I mean, not frivolous. Frivolity? I don't know. Still working on it. But
there's always going to be the one friend at the funeral who has to be like, I'll tell you about the real Brian. He'd come back and haunt me if I wasn't honest about the fact that, oh my God, was he gassy? Just go into it. He's probably farting in that coffin right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I imagine release a lot of gas in that coffin.
This is kind of funny. I just saw a list of 10 things our bodies do that humiliate us on a regular basis. Our bodies betray ourselves. I'm not talking about you get like an autoimmune disease, like a true betrayal. I just mean things that happen along the way that can be kind of humiliating.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest. I was like, really? This is humiliating? Like for instance, loud gas. Depending on the context, it can be like it's like your body's handing you a blue ribbon at times. Here, you're a champ. Here you go, kid. Here's a trophy. Share this with the room. Blop.
Look what you did.
I mean,
excuse me.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's at the wrong time. It can be awful. This is a true story. I was making out with a girl in high school, and I did not have loud gas, but I let one go, as I called it, silent but violent. And there was only two of us in the room, and she goes, "Oh my God, you farted!" And I looked her dead in the eye, and I said, "No, I didn't." And I was convinced I could convince her it wasn't me. And she looked at me and she goes, "Well, there's no one else here." And I go, I smell that too, but that wasn't me. And I just wouldn't let go of it. It was like,
stick with it, I say. That's the old Eddie Murphy routine from his stand-up special, Raw. He said, he goes, just deny it. If your woman catches you cheating on her, if she walks into the bedroom and you're just going to town on this woman, then you say, "No, it wasn't me. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't." She'll go, "Yeah, I just saw you." "No, it wasn't." And you just keep saying it, and then pretty soon it's, well, maybe you weren't. Maybe, I don't know what I saw, The lights came on, and I get those light bulbs in my eyes, and just total denial. Stick with denial.
Having food stuck in your teeth, is that humiliating, really? I mean, you're just a guy, you're eating a meal, and sometimes that happens. Rosemary will tell me instantly, she'll like scratch her own tooth, like right there, and she'll do that when we're at home and it's just us. I'm like, give me a second. Maybe I'm saving that for later. Like if we're out in public, if you're at a restaurant, or if you're standing in a group of people chatting and someone offers you a little pig in a blanket hors d'oeuvre and you eat, or whatever it is, I don't know.
Yeah.
You just have a bite of food. It's like, I want to know if I got food in my teeth. But we're sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
We're watching some horrible documentary on Netflix. Who cares? Right away. I mean, the second she knows it, right here, I'm like, God, man.
Yeah. Conversely, I don't trust people who won't tell me. I've had friends, and you get home and you're like, "Oh, look at that big piece of spinach caught there right in the front of my teeth," as we're laughing all night. Now I know why you were laughing at my jokes, because you were laughing at a big... Or I've been out on a date and I get home and there's a big wad of something stuck in my teeth. I'm like, she didn't want to embarrass me. She's not for me. She's not the one. Yeah, no, deal breaker. You didn't. Although that is difficult right away. You give them the appropriate amount of time to clear the blockage from their tooth or whatever. But I don't know. Either way, there's a happy medium in there somewhere.
There's times when you do have to really pay attention to what your body's trying to betray you with. It's a funny thing. When a rock band, like say the one I used to be in, you have a lot of photo shoots. At least early in our career, we constantly had photo shoots, and we would all give each other the nostril check. You just tilt your head back, I got anything dangling? It was always like, no, you're good. You're good. It was just watching 5 dudes check each other for boogers before a photo shoot every time. Yeah. But that was important because, you just got to see one picture of yourself and go, nobody could have told me I had a giant nose full of snot right there.
Oh, I'm reminded of now, of back to the bad date. I did the laugh, that guffaw laugh, and it wasn't a little snot that came out. It went from my upper lip to like the bottom of my chin and then hanging off my chin. I mean, it was immediate. It was in our faces. We were both, I knew immediately. I grabbed my napkin, I cover it up, but the date just never got back on track after that. It was like, just a handful of snot just somebody threw in my face.
Oh, man.
And, that was a bad one. I don't know where it all came from, to be honest with you. And I was just polite laughing. I was doing that. She said something. I went, ha! And it, just whammo, just came right out my nose. I laughed out my nose.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a bad one.
Bad breath, not so much of a concern for me anymore. Ever since I fully embraced flossing, I feel like I'm way more in touch with my bad breath. Yeah. Because at least twice a day, I got a bunch of floss up there. And you can tell, if you're a regular flosser, you know if there's some stench coming out of you. It's one of the benefits. No one told me, I guess gum health is nice, but at least now I can tell if I'm, going to stink up a room with my coffee breath.
I'm paranoid. Just had a birthday here. I'm paranoid about old man breath because there's something about guys getting into their 70s. My dad, this guy I used to work for a while ago in his 70s, across the room. I mean, melt paint.
Sure.
Just peel paint, rather, kind of bad breath. And you're like, you're just rotting. You're rotten on the inside. I mean, I would pull every tooth in my head and just put some nice, clean, minty smelling dentures in there. Oh, yeah, I'm just really weirded out by that. I don't want to, because I never said anything to him. It's not like having something in your teeth when your breath is that bad. You just try to stand, 6 feet back, like during the pandemic. That's how bad their breath is. But I desperately don't want that breath because I know no one's going to tell me.
Man, I did a few gigs, a bunch of gigs a long time ago with Bobby Keys, the great saxophone player. Yeah. We did a little run in the Northeast, like it was like New York, Philly, and D.C. or something, little short drives, and we just had like a passenger van, like a 15-passenger van that had those little windows that you just crack open. You lift them up and the bottom slides out like 2 inches. Yeah. And one of the guys in the band, who shall remain nameless, had just constant bad breath, like halitosis. It was just a thing. And it was a winter, and we get locked in this van for only a 90-minute or 2-hour drive. And I mean, within like 10 minutes, all of a sudden, like the whole van is just this guy's breath. And it's like, hey, man, turn that heat down a little bit. Let's get some air in here. And then before you know it, everyone's, cracking the windows. And then for the next 3 days, as we would get in the van, like the clamor to get to the front or back seat because he was going to be in the same place every time. It was like everybody just trying to make sure they weren't, getting next to this guy. Just brutal. Lovely guy, great musician, the whole thing. Yeah. No one's going to go, dude, seriously, get a mask or get some breath mints. He couldn't do anything. It's like, this is clearly an issue. We'll just have to live with it. Thankfully, we were all old enough to where we just survived it barely. That happens in the 20s. Man, that guy's out of the band. It's like, No, you cannot be in this band anymore. You have bad breath. I'm sorry. You're the greatest musician I've ever met, but you're out of here. You got a blast. It doesn't take much to get you. It doesn't take much to kick a guy out of a band when you're getting started. It doesn't take much to break up with somebody. Speaking of which, in young relationships, we mentioned earlier that a couple in Florida had a pretty nasty breakup. I'll recap in case you missed it. But I'm curious, looking back on our earlier relationships in life, what's the weirdest reason you ever dumped someone? Or what's the weirdest reason someone ever dumped you? Give that a thought. If you've got a weird getting or dumping story in a relationship terms context, feel free to share it with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. We'd love to talk about it. We'd love to read your text. Weirdest dump stories. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
It is January 14th. The NFL season has come and gone. Well, at least around here it has.
Yeah.
Hoping so far your day is up and running in a positive direction. Rough night for the Vikings last night. Good God almighty. Deacon Jones had a sack for the Rams.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, they brought everybody was getting in on the action last night. That was incredible. Brutal way for that miracle season to come to an end. It was tough. That's all I can say.
Steve, there's always next year, man. I was wondering, and I right away got a text from Eric last night. Thank you, buddy. I never did get back to you. I'm sorry about that. I was kind of dozing off and watching it on my laptop in bed a little bit. But and he's like, well, you know what? We're going to be set up pretty sweet for next year. And I went, what did you just say on the night of, you stupid, adorable purple sap you? I love it. And I thought, how do you pick yourself up year after year, playoff loss after playoff loss? And I realized you've got to be raised in this culture. And God bless. This is JJ Vikings at JJ Vikings. I found this post on X this morning, and this sums it up. I'd say he's about 12 or 13 years old, maybe 14, and he's wearing his Viking shirt. Here we go. Take it away at JJ Vikings.
Unfortunately, all fun things must come to an end. The Minnesota Vikings have been eliminated from the playoffs, and the season's over. But the Vikings can live well in knowing two things. No, actually, no, three things. One, we had this game, and we lost by a lower deficit than the loss to the Lions. That was a lot higher in points for the Lions. So that's a nice thing. It was 27-9, not 31-9. 2, we can live well knowing the Rams will absolutely get demolished by the Eagles next Sunday anyway, or next weekend.
I don't know about
3,
that.
J.J. McCarthy's our future. So that was difficult. It was a difficult loss, definitely heartbreaking, but there is next season, and there is a man named J.J. McCarthy. We have that Ferrari parked in the garage, and the league is not ready for when we're ready to drive it.
Yeah!
Oh, my God, yes!
Little JJ Vikings, that boy.
Yeah, Ferrari parts in the garage. I like it.
JJ McCarthy and Ferrari have never been mentioned in the same sentence before. I mean, I'm a Michigan fan, and you won't hear me talking that way. What in the world? Oh, that's lovely. Hope springs eternal.
Yeah.
For me, as far as I go right now, I'm contemplating. I think I'm going to have to break up with the Vikings, guys. I think I'm going to have to dump the Vikings. Yep. It's just one of those things. And I don't think you would add this to the list of weirdest breakups. I think you can understand, right? It's like, 3 years in, 2 gut-wrenching first-round losses. I mean, it's like, how many times do I got to stick my finger in the fan before I realize I don't like getting shocked and hurt and cut in fingertips? I'm just saying it's in play. I'm not 100% going to break up. I'm not going to dump the Vikings, but it's just something I have to consider. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's weird. You find yourself coming back for more. I've been saying it for almost 30 years now. That's it. I'm done. I'm not even watching the Vikings next year. But, yeah, I set myself up. But I learned to laugh about it. You can't take it too seriously. Mm-hmm. I like the Steelers as well. That's my AFC team. And, you got to laugh it off. I don't even remember when they used to win Super Bowls. They did win 6 of them in my lifetime.
Yeah,
I did enjoy 6 championship seasons, but that's all. That's all I have to look back on.
Yeah,
just those 6.
It's funny because I have told my son many times, I'm like, you don't have to stay. You can be a team. Players switch teams, coaches switch teams. You can switch team as a fan, and yet here I am still like, I've been in Minnesota 2 years, and I'm like already like, oh, what should I do here? I just can't do it. I'm not a mercenary. At the end of the day, if I say I'm with you, I'm with you. And now I'm realizing maybe J.J. McCarthy is that Ferrari.
Yeah, there you go. Welcome back, Steve.
Amazing next year, man. You know what? It's great. Nothing better than makeup sex.
Okay.
Wow. I've had some weird breakups in my life. I will say, not with teams, but with girls. And looking back, of course, I can't say these were serious relationships because I've been in a serious relationship for over 30 years now. So everyone before that, it was serious at the time, but it was just young kid stuff. It was, up into my late 20s. None of that stuff really matters looking back. I mean, these things happen. But a lot of us have a breakup we look back on and go, that was weird. But then again, you know what? If something's weird, you just gotta make the decision that's best for you at the time. There's a lot of reasons people have broken up. I like this one. This is I'm reading reasons people have submitted things why they broke up. His name didn't match his face.
Okay.
I kind of get it, but
But you know what? That's the kind of thing that I bet the girl took a while before she pulled the trigger. She probably tried to talk herself out of it, knew that was crazy, understood that was just one of those things, but then finally was like, I just can't get over this. I just can't get past it. And it was just like, you know what? Instead of thinking about how weird that is, I'm just going to break up with the guy. I think she probably did him a favor.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, there are times when you break up with someone, and I've done it probably more than your average person, but where you think this isn't a good reason to break up with someone, but if I just have that thought that I want to break up with them, then I should break up with them. They're not the one, I haven't been swept off my feet. But I did once dump a gal many years ago because she said that she was allergic to fish. I'm like, no, you're just making crap up. You're crazy. There is no such thing. Boys and girls, this was before the internet was in full swing. And it turns out there is an allergy to fish. That's a real thing. I didn't. Yeah, it really is. But I just thought she was crazy. I did. I'm like, I tell my buddies too, they're allergic to fish. Out of here, But yeah. Anyway, so
I had to end early in a relationship. I stopped seeing a girl, and there was it was all positive. I mean, all positive. Everything looked like, hey, this could turn into this could be nice. I mean, I wasn't thinking marriage, but I was just like, I will be happy to just not be thinking about other girls and maybe see where this goes. Mm-hmm. We were just several weeks into what I would have called a very intense hangout session, every other day. And then it turned into every day we were seeing each other, it was pretty nice. Yeah. Only a couple weeks in. And then one day we were laughing. We're sitting on the couch in front of the TV, and I said something funny, and she looked at me, and with her little index finger, she just went boop on the tip of my, popped my nose, and she said, and this is what she said. She goes, funny face.
Oh.
Nope.
Yeah.
And I thought, and by the way, and I immediately went, funny face. That's what that's what Priscilla Presley calls Frank Drebin in The Naked Gun. Yeah. And I thought, that's weird. She said funny face, like Priscilla Presley in that movie. And I just said, oh, well, okay, that's whatever. That's fine. The next day, no more than 2 days later, another one. Funny face.
Don't go back.
And I thought right then, I either say, don't call me funny face. It really is weird. Or I just have to get over it. And I thought, no, I'll just get over it. And the third time she went funny face, I can never see this girl again.
No way, you can't take that to your grave. And if you had said something like, don't call me funny face, she would have had a similar reaction. She would have been like, oh, really? And now I didn't realize he was so stuffy and not fun or whatever, Yeah. So, damned if you do and damned if you don't. Best just to cut the ties. What about this one? A guy found out his girlfriend's glasses weren't prescription. She was just wearing decorative glasses.
For fashion?
Yeah, she just wanted to wear them for fashion. Taylor went through that phase, so as a dad, I just kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, oh, all right. When I was a kid, you'd be called a four eyes. It wasn't cool to wear glasses, but she wanted to wear glasses. She thought they were fashionable. So I don't know in a relationship if I wouldn't call that a big reveal. No,
unless she denied it and said, no, these are, no, of course.
Oh, okay, then, then
maybe,
liar,
but it sounds like he just had a little issue with, why would you do that? It's just, I don't mind those implants, but hey, fake glasses? No way. 651-989-ROCK. If you got a weird breakup, we'd love to hear about it. This is on the text line. When I was about 19 or 20, I started dating a guy basically because he had long hair. He was older than me by a few years. He was kind of short, which I wasn't thrilled about. One time, some of our friends, we go up to UMD to visit a buddy. We're all crashing at the house she stayed at. We were sleeping on the floor, kind of cuddling, and we started holding hands. It was at that point I realized his hands were smaller than mine. I'm 5 feet 3 inches. I have average size for a woman. I could not get over the fact that his hands were smaller than mine. Once we got back to the cities, I never called him again, and I wouldn't answer his calls.
That's...
Hey, man, I get it.
I know a gal that a very good friend of mine lives out west, and she dated a guy for about a month, and they broke up. And I said, "Oh, what happened? What went sour for you?" And she said he took his hat off. He always wore a cowboy hat, and they got to the point where it was time to take the cowboy hat off. And she said he took that cowboy hat off, and I thought, "What an ugly man you are." But with this cowboy hat on, it was like Tim McGraw. You ever see Tim McGraw without his cowboy hat?
Sure.
Yeah, he's just he's just baldy, but. Yeah, but that was it for her, keep your hat on. That was it. I'll tell you, a couple of times I was kicked to the curb for doing appearances for the radio station for simply taking pictures with other women. And I remember,
come on.
No, I remember one gal, I said, you realize I'm working for the radio station. It would be a bar gig or a concert, and we'd go out, and someone would want to take a picture. They often mistake me for Bryce or someone else, Terry Train. I'd get that a lot. So I said, I got to take a picture. Yeah, but you don't have to look like you're enjoying it. So you would like me to take a picture with them and frown or give them a look of disdain? And then the other gal that said she just couldn't take it anymore was like, how come you never asked me to be in the picture? I'm like, that would be weird. If a woman came up and said she wanted a picture with me, I'm like, let's get my girlfriend in. It's not a family freaking portrait, but they serve their purpose, I suppose.
It's funny. I still sometimes, I don't post a lot on social media, but occasionally I'll put something on Instagram, and Rosemary will say to me 3 days later, I post something like once a month, and I will have posted something, and she'll go, who's Karen XYZ? I'm like, what? She commented on your Instagram. I'm like, I don't even look at I don't even look at the comment. I post, and I learned a long time ago, don't look at the comments. Like, just post it and keep moving. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. She goes, well, she's talking like she knows you. I'm like, what?
They all do.
Of course. It's like, hey, Gorman, what's up? I'm like, yeah, it's Instagram. She does know me on Instagram. I don't know who this person is. I don't even look. This text came in from Jacob. Gorgeous girl, fantastic lover, ... man hands. I just couldn't get over it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I've seen the man hands. It's not been as big a hookup for me, but that's because I have female hands, so they work well in a relationship. I just pretend her hands are mine, and I don't know. But yeah, those physical things, they're hang-ups. I think there was a Seinfeld episode about it, but once you get it in your head, it's there for life. You're not going to get it out of your head, so you just got to... Yeah, there's a lot of fish out there. Just go find one with more feminine hands, I guess.
I broke up with my girlfriend in high school because over the summer months when we didn't see each other as often because she lived out on a farm all of 6 miles away. But that was long for me. Sure. I was like, I could ride. Of course, I could ride my bike out there. But the pool is like half a mile away. So I'm going to go to the pool. So we were having a tough summer as it was. Her older sister got married. And it was one of those things where she's like, well, Kim's marrying a Catholic. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, well, so she wants you to be the altar boy at the wedding because I, of course, was Catholic. And I'm like, okay, I'm not an altar boy. But and then I'm like, I can't turn down my girlfriend's older sister's request to have me be a part of her wedding. So I'm like, yeah, I guess I can stand there next to the priest and hand him a chalice or whatever. So I have to go to church and be told I have to go in the day before the wedding and get a lesson on how to be the acolyte, the altar boy. That pissed me off. Like a perfectly sunny day in early August, and I'm here. So I was already on edge.
That's a legit grape.
The day of the wedding, I'm standing up there next to the priest, and then here comes the wedding party, and my girlfriend's one of the bridesmaids. And as she's walking up the aisle, she's got her hair made up in some early 80s special wedding hairstyle, which was like braids, but then they were wrapped up in a circle around her head like some medieval nymph fairy nonsense. I don't know. And there was like sprigs of certain leaves in her hair. It was and I was like, oh my God, I'm thinking to myself, that you just put a bird's nest up there. What the hell? And so I'm already not into the hair. And then I look at her, we meet eyes. And she is giving me the look. Her face was, this is going to be us one day.
No.
Her eyes are watering as she's lovingly approaching me, like, totally ignoring like the groomsmen she's supposed to be partnered off with. And I'm like, that's it. Standing in front of a church full of people with a priest on my side at a wedding, I'm like, I'm dumping her tonight. I am out of this relationship. And I did wait until the next day. I didn't break up with her on the day of her daughter's wedding.
Classy.
Of her sister's wedding. I did wait till the next day because I'm classy after all.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. I would have done it right at the dance, right at the dad-daughter when they get out there, the bride and their dance, very slow song, and then just, whisper it in her ear. Then she burst out in tears. People will think she's just happy for her sister.
Yeah.
Kind of camouflages the whole thing. Ryan writes in here, she found out the truck I was driving was owned by my mom. Well, I
see her point, though.
All right.
Depending on how old he is.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, if you're 16, come on, right? But if you're, I don't know how old you are, Ryan. If you're 46, you probably should own your own truck, I guess.
I like this
Maybe
text.
Mom has good credit. I don't know.
I like this text. I told a girl I realized she just wasn't a nice person. Then I listened to her scream at me for several minutes about how stupid I am.
Ooh, good call.
I simply replied, "Yep," and hung up. Yeah. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
That's it. I stopped to pick up my girlfriend back in the late 80s, another text. When I got to her mom's house, she said, "Oh, my daughter left town with the carnival." It took a while before I believed her. I thought she was just messing with me. But I guess she did. The girl left for the carnival. Wow.
I mean, yeah, you're not going to...
Let me tell you, if you're dumped for a carny, you got to take a good long look in the mirror and try to figure out what you could do differently. Weirdest reasons you got dumped or did the dumping. 651-989-ROCK. We want to hear from you. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Tuesday, January 14th. It's not so easy to find somebody to love sometimes. It's not the big things. It's the little things that can cause us to drop out early. Say, you know what? I'm going to cut my losses quickly. We're discussing on the show reasons we've dumped people or been dumped. Really, it's more, why did we dump somebody for a reason that might seem a little crazy? Liz just texted in 651-989-ROCK. If you want to call and or text, feel free to share a story with us. Liz said, I started dating a guy that I was introduced to as Stan. A few weeks in, he told me he prefers to be called Stanley. And she writes, ick.
Yeah.
While deciding how to break up with him, before I have to tell my family they have to call him this new name.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, I have to go tell my mom and my siblings he's actually Stanley. So she doesn't want to do that. Before I break up with him, he pulled up to my house on a new Harley in sandals.
Oh, all right. Well, I've ridden a Harley in sandals and socks.
Well, that's funny you say that because she goes on to say, I'm not getting on a hog with anyone, not even Zepp with sandals on. That's what she wrote.
All right.
Broke up with him the same day and told him both reasons why. Dodged that bullet. Hey, Liz, props for coming clean, man. That's strong.
All right, Liz.
You didn't make something up. You just told him. Now, this is it.
I'll put on my biggest, baddest, blackest boots for you, Liz. And by the way, don't do it in your sandals. Good way to lose a pinky toe. Had a buddy do that. Laid her down, just ripped his pinky toe right off. Never did find it, Just
oh, my God.
Sheared right off. Yeah, right? Are you curling your toes right now? Irene.
Yeah, I am.
Irene on the KQ Facebook post broke up with a guy in high school. He wanted to get me pregnant so we could get married. And he could get out of his foster home to go look for his birth mother.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
Yeah, not just wanting to knock her up so that they could get married. That's almost romantic in a really psycho kind of way. But he wanted to get her knocked up so they could get married so he could get out of the foster home to go look for mom. Yeah,
hey, when I was in high school, I told you I broke up with my girl after her sister's wedding for several reasons. We did get back together and then broke up and then got back. And on round 3, when I was a senior in high school, we were just discussing, we're having that conversation as we're starting to think about, are we going to take this all the way? And I said, yeah, but, I'm scared you'd get pregnant. And she said, I don't want to be pregnant, but, that would be beautiful. And that's when I was like, later, because her dad did have a shotgun and knew how to use it. And I was like, holy crap, you just said that out loud to a 17-year-old boy? I got to go. 651-989-ROCK. I believe we have Steve on the horn. Steve, are you with us?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve from Woodbury. Give me your favorite band.
Favorite band, The Cars.
Give me your favorite team, any sport.
The Woodbury Special Olympics squad.
Nice.
All right.
That'll work. All right, what do you got for us, brother?
All right. This was a while back before I was married, happily. Gal came to my house. We'd been out a couple times. All was good. She barely gets in the door. First words out of her mouth, can I use the bathroom? We only live 20 minutes apart. Thinking, okay. She tears it up. I can smell this around the corner and down the hall. Okay. 5'3", petite, nothing special about her. Anyway, I think, okay, bad day of Mexican food the day before, whatever.
Yeah.
A week goes by. Yeah, why don't I stop over? I'm going to be in the area. Yeah, sure thing. Stop by. Same thing. Now I'm wondering if this is intentional, so I waited about a week. Said, hey, how about, I'm going to come over for some pizza, watch a movie or something. Yeah, sure, sounds good. She comes over. Exactly the same thing. She didn't know how 2 minutes. Tears it up. That was it. I couldn't do it.
I mean, 3 strikes and you're out. Maybe, Steve, she was just so into you, it upset her stomach. She was so nervous, She evacuated. Dude, I think maybe she only wanted to see you so she didn't have to stink up her own bathroom.
Good point.
Could be it. That's awesome. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it, brother.
Great day.
I always try to keep one about 20 minutes away so I can get over to his place and just drop a bomb.
Oh, my God. Listen to this text. This is in from Nick on the text line. I operate cranes. Wearing work gloves is required on all job sites. I landed a gig stacking wind generators on a windmill farm back in 2010. I meet a woman who's about 5'10", and coincidentally, my leather work gloves start to disappear after I start hanging out with her. After a week or two, she invited me to her place, and lo and behold, 3 pairs of my leather work gloves are stacked up alongside the sink in her entrance. Huh? He goes, okay, not too big a deal. I go to her bathroom, and in the tub with a shower curtain closed around it, I find 3 litter boxes that haven't been maintained for what must have been years. I'm out. He goes, man hands and months of cat feces hidden behind a shower curtain in her bathroom. Bye-bye.
Run for your life. What was 1 pair of gloves wasn't enough? You take a pair of guys' good leather work gloves, you're going to notice that. And then 1, 2, 3. All right. I've had a lot of hoodies disappear. And in fact, I remember one time a gal leaving in a hoodie. I'm like, that's my hoodie. And she goes, I just wanted to wear it home. I said, I got a T-shirt for you.
Yeah.
You're not a hoodie. You're a T-shirt. Let's get you a KQ T-shirt.
That just prompted a memory of mine where I woke up one morning with a girl I had just started to see, and she was in my apartment, and she had put on one of my T-shirts, and that's all she was wearing. And
Sexy.
Well, should have been. But what it showed was that she had phenomenally short legs and a really long torso.
Okay.
And it had the exact. It was kind of like I was looking through like a magnifying glass in reverse. It looked like an optical illusion. I was like, whoa, what's happening right there? And I didn't not see her again for that reason.
Right.
But it was of the straws on the camel's back. I'd be lying if I said that wasn't there.
Fair enough.
I was like, wow, you picked the wrong shirt to parade around in, thinking that was going to be a good look. I'm sorry to say, that's a tough one. Rosemary had and this is, I got to go back to like the 90s. She was working at her job. A coworker came in. They got to know each other a little bit. We hung out a few times, and then I had a buddy and Rosemary's coworker. They started dating. They met once and hit it off, and it was great.
Yeah.
And we were all at our house, the 2 couples hanging out one night. And this woman who I can see her face, I can't remember her name. She was telling us a story. And she was talking all about her old roommate, a female roommate, who constantly would pee on the toilet seat like a man. She goes, she'd come out of the bathroom and the seat would be down, but it had pee all over it. And we were like, wait a minute. What do you mean? That doesn't make sense. She was like, oh, it was so gross. She did it all the time. And then,
grabbing her ankles or what?
I guess. We were discussing how does that happen? And it was just one of those things. Everyone's sitting around, drinking a glass of wine, listening to music, and this story comes up, and we're all kind of laughing about it. Like, that's so weird. That's so weird. Ha, ha, ha. She goes into our bathroom and then comes out a minute later, and then I go in there, and the toilet seat's just covered in pee.
What?
And I'm like, wait, is this like a real weird joke now?
Yeah.
Or is this something she does? and she just started talking about the fact that her roommate did it. And I mean, it was a really weird thing.
What?
I just stand there for a minute. I walk out. I get Rosemary's attention. I'm like, hey, come here for a minute. We come in the bathroom. I'm like, that she just left. And she's like, oh, my God. And I was like, I'm not cleaning that up. You clean that up. So we have that conversation. And
I clean up the man pee. You clean up the woman pee.
The night ends, and we kind of leave it there. Like, well, that was really weird. Let's just see. And then the next, 2 or 3 times we were ever with her, we suddenly were paying attention to the story she's telling. Yeah. And she was just, turned out she's just bat crap crazy. Like, she would tell the weirdest things. Oh, and then I saw this happen one time, and it was like a character who's constantly trying to tell you the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
And then it was my buddy Randy. I said, hey, man, what's going on with you and her? And he goes, I don't know. She says some weird stuff sometimes. And then I said, do you remember that night at our house when she talked about the pee? And I go, I walked into that night, and there was pee all over the toilet. He goes, that's it. All right.
Okay.
I swear, I thought I must have done that. She pees on the toilet seat. And he had seen it. He goes, I got up one morning. I was like, did I come in here at night and do that? Oh, my God. And I was like, yeah, sorry, dude. And then he was like, yeah, I'm out. I got to get out of here.
I mean, it's not ethical to put a trail camera in your own bathroom and spy on your guests, but just so curious about that one. Ryder, any ideas there? I think you're not.
Why you're just on the seat?
Yeah, how could a woman pee on the seat they're sitting on?
I mean,
they're not sitting on the seat.
This frequently happens in public bathrooms because women are afraid to have their butt touch the toilet. So then you squat. But this sounds like a whole different deal with this crazy person here. So yeah, I don't know. I'm as stumped as you guys.
Okay, all right.
That's a weird one. That's all there is to it.
Take that mystery to our grave, I guess.
This text just in. I was dating a girl who used a sexy baby girl voice. It was great at first, but after a few weeks, I couldn't even stand to hear her talk. Yeah.
Been there, done that, and right away, and it was kind of fun and kind of sexy. Maybe a little bit like that boop on your nose you talked about earlier in the show. Yeah. And then just went there one too many times, and it's like, we can't make a habit out of this.
Oh, it's absolutely brutal.
Wow. Denise on the KQ Facebook post. He broke up with me because he said I was too clumsy. I think that's adorable. It depends. It depends what you're breaking in the house, all right?
That's very true.
I don't know. You break my bong. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not interested in being in a relationship where, if we're going upstairs, I got to make sure I'm in front. And if we're going downstairs, I'm in the back. I don't want you to fall on me. I don't want that to be a consideration. Myself. All the other things going on in my mind, I don't need to worry about, am I going to get hurt going up and down the stairs because I'm dating the clumsiest girl in town. Yeah,
like I said, there's such a thing as too clumsy, I guess. Sarah, I get this. He gave me jewelry too soon. Oh yeah, when when they rush it, they'll drop the love bomb on you. 3 or 4 dates in, you're like, jewelry too soon. Pump the brakes, fellas. That's what we do the best.
Or if you're not a jewelry person, I had a boyfriend give me jewelry, and I'm like, do you not know me? When do you think I'm going to have you seen me wear jewelry ever? This is never happening, man.
And this pink dress. Ryder.
That's fantastic. Hey, 92 KQRS wants to send you to see Metallica at Mile High Stadium in Denver this summer for the final night of their M72 No Repeat Weekend Tour. For a shot to win snake pit tickets with a 360-degree view of the show for both nights. That, of course, includes airfare and hotel for 2. Text the national keyword NO, N-O, to 95819 for your chance to win. How about the top 5 at 9 coming up next? Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Good Tuesday morning. It is January the 14th. Earlier in the show, we've been discussing really the last hour, ridiculous reasons we broke up with people. Why'd we dump someone? I have one more text I feel the need to share. This is a good one. I almost said the guy's name. He goes, don't say my name. And then I almost said his name. When I was a teenager, I had a girlfriend about a year younger than me. We were making out one day, and she said, we can do anything you want, but I have to tell my mom everything we do.
Oh, that's a big butt.
I stopped and never called her again. Okay. I'm laughing reading that, but I'm like, maybe that girl just didn't know how else to get out of this. Maybe that was the whole point. She was like, well, this isn't. She didn't want to say I'm afraid or I'm a prude or I'm not cool. So she said, well, I have to tell my mom everything. That's a good way to get out of something, and then it makes it look like you're not the one who's pulling the plug. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Because,
but then,
of course, she refused to pull the plug. If you follow my meaning.
But then you get the reputation. Guys talk. Everybody talks.
That's very
true. You're gonna be that girl that tells mom everything. But sometimes drastic times or means for drastic. What the hell am I trying to say? I don't know.
Drastic times call for drastic measures?
That's not it. That's not what I was trying to say. No.
Okay. Sorry.
A bird in the bush is worth two in your hand.
That's it. Thank you. I don't.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, just I came up a little short today. We're here till about 10 o'clock. I made it till 9. That's all you're getting out of me today.
Good. I'm proud of you.
Totally appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Hey, the 2025 Tee It Up Golf Card presented by Club Champion is on sale now. Golf 6 area courses and save nearly $200 if you text the keyword golf to 651-989-ROCK. You will get information and you can pick up your very own Tee It Up golf card. Get ready for some golf. Right now, it's time for the top 5 at 9. 5 stories we think you need to know to get your day headed in the right direction. Planters Peanuts has a job maybe for you. $45,000 a year, a 1-year gig. You will get health benefits, travel expenses, and a 401k will get going if you want to drive the Nutmobile around the country. Now, there was a time in my life where every car I got in was a Nutmobile. I'm just saying, that's how that is. No, but the Planters Peanut Nutmobile, just picture the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, but it's a giant peanut instead. In fact, it's a 26-foot long peanut. Planters has the gig for you. Here's what surprises me. You're basically a brand ambassador. You're going to travel the country. You're going to be spreading joy and talking about peanuts and making appearances. You need a bachelor's degree, preferably in communications, advertising, public relations, or some related field. If you grew up on a peanut farm but don't have that bachelor's degree, sorry, they're not interested. It's not so much about your peanut expertise. It's about your ability to communicate the love of peanut expertise, if you will.
Yeah.
There's worse jobs to have. I have a 24-year-old kid who's looking for work. He would $45,000 a year to drive around in a peanut car. He'd be like, hell yeah, let's go.
I mean, you meet cool and interesting people. Might be a love connection out there for you. And if not, you just get in the Nutmobile and leave town.
That's
Go on to the next one.
I thought we had something special, and then he just jumped into that Nutmobile, and I never saw him again. It was the worst day of my life. Right, he drove literally right into the sunset. Did he leave you anything? Just a bag of nuts. Number 4, your top 5 at 9. Gen Z. That's like the 18 to 27-year-olds. I got 2 of them in the Gorman household right now, so this is no surprise to me. A recent survey of 18 to 27-year-olds turned up a few interesting facts. 25% said they have never and would never change a ceiling light bulb.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid to climb a ladder.
Stay grounded here on planet Earth. Yeah, they lack in these. But then the other day, I had a Gen Zer show me how to use my phone again.
Sure.
Because there was another new update. I'm like, okay, now this new update's ruined my phone. Give it to me. Here, it works, idiot.
65% of Gen Z said they couldn't change a wiper blade. Fun fact, I was probably in my 40s the first time I changed a wiper blade. I had to think about it for a minute. I was like,
Anytime.
It's not something that comes up that often, honestly. They make good wiper blades. They last a long time. But then this is hardly surprising at all. The number of Gen Zers who said they could not change a tire, about half of them, 50%. That makes sense. I mean, all the car stuff. My kids, if I said, hey, go check the oil, they'd look at me like I was speaking Swahili. But that's because cars now, you don't have to know how to do much. You know what I mean? It's just not like the old days when you really had to have some understanding of basic how engines work and what happens now and what it's supposed to sound like. That's ridiculous. My son's got a car. It's 10 years old this year. He drives a 2015 Corolla, but it tells him everything he needs to know.
Yeah, I tell you, when Sydney was driving a junker, my favorite junker Sydney story is that I asked her, I said, do you check the oil? When was the last time you checked the oil? And she held up her hands in a circle, like about a dinner plate circle. Mm-hmm. She goes, about that much. I said, what do you mean like about, what do you mean that much? That's a circle. She goes, yeah, about that much underneath it on the garage floor. The puddle's about that big.
God.
I went, all right, okay. Let's wander out to the garage and take a peek at the dipstick.
All right.
Yeah, about that much oil is how much it doesn't have in it anymore.
Gen Z is the generation most likely to use services like TaskRabbit, which is where you go to their website, you just book, you say what you need done, and someone shows up and does it. Right here, I am hardly Gen Z, but moving to Minneapolis, I had the TaskRabbit dude come over a few times because I can do it all, but I can do it all just okay. And there's certain things that I'd rather just know that it's done right, and then I'm never going to notice it. If I put something together, if I put together a chest of drawers, or if I hang a TV, or if I do anything, and it's 85% right, all I will notice is the 15% that's not right.
Yeah, right.
And it
I'd
just
at least like
me.
to have someone to blame it on other than yourself, right? That damn TaskRabbit. I knew I shouldn't have trusted them when they walked in a bunny suit, and they were a Gen Zer. Was not going to go well.
That was a whole different thing. That was a sexgram gone wrong. Number 3 on your top 5 at 9, Lake Superior State. Every year they publish a list of banished words. They say basically they're saying this. Okay, stop using these words now. We have crossed the Rubicon. They need to be out of our vocabulary. The number 1 word they want us to ditch: cringe. To say something is cringe. I don't use that word. My kids do. They'll say, oh, man, that is so cringe. I just became aware of this recently, but now apparently it just shows you that I've not been paying attention. But now it's the number 1 word Lake Superior State would like us to stop using.
I'm okay
thanks.
with that.
Another one is game changer. Now, if you're talking about a game, if you say the Rams sacked Sam Darnold 36 times last night, that was a real game changer. That makes sense because it did change the game. If you say it for anything not involving an actual game, but just as a way to describe something, as a metaphor, enough. Unplug it. Get it out of your life.
Unless it's that girl, the aforementioned lady, who tells mom everything you do sexually. That's a game changer.
That is.
In a relationship, that's a game changer. That's cringe. It's cringe.
It's very cringe. That's a life changer is what that is. Holy smokes. Number 2 on your top 5 at 9. Hey, fellas. If you're at a certain age and you're having a little trouble with erectile dysfunction, I got news for you. Your best friend is grape juice. Grape juice. I'm not talking about wine. I mean literal grape juice. Some good old-fashioned Welch's grape juice. Researchers at a hospital in northern China found out they were checking out several different products to see if they would have any impact on helping men with ED. They were looking at the benefits of tomato juice, apple juice, orange and pineapple juice, lemonade, milk, soft drinks, a bunch of stuff. Grape juice is the only thing that stood out. And at a great level, they saw men who drink grape juice 5 times or more a week saw an 80% decrease in ED struggles.
5 times or more. That's a purple tongue right there. Geez, yeah. Chuck, the dates seem to be going really well. We went back to his place, started to make out, and then he just books it into the kitchen and slams a jug of grape juice.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
I've got some more news for you. When we get to the commercial break here, we're going to try and sell you boner pills. You just take one of those and rock hard for hours. Yeah. Save yourself some money on the grape juice. They just hand it out like candy. Amazon will deliver it within the hour.
You know, fun fact about your buddy Steve, I just love grape juice anyway and always have. As a kid, when I was probably 5, I was at our neighbor's house, the Dunlaps, right across the street. You remember the Dunlaps?
Sure.
Yes. Dan and Alice Dunlap and their kids. I was in their house one day, and Mrs. Dunlap said, would you like some grape juice? I'd never had grape juice. Huh? Grape juice was like a high-priced commodity for the Gormans. I had a glass of grape juice, and I thought to myself, my God, this is ambrosia of the gods. I've never enjoyed anything more. And I went home, and I said to my mom, I had grape juice. I love grape juice. And she's like, okay, honey, and never brought it into the house. Never saw grape juice in the house. That just wasn't going to happen. That was like literally a luxury item. I would go across the street regularly Didn't knock, didn't ring the bell. I'm a little kid. It was that kind of neighborhood. I just would walk into the Dunlap's house and pour myself a glass of grape juice and then walk home. Did it for months. And then Mrs. Dunlap finally mentioned to my mom, she thought it was so cute.
Yeah.
Little Steven comes over and gets his grape juice a few times a week. And my mom was like, I'm sorry, what?
That's nothing to get mad about. It's adorable. No wonder they called you Beaver. The Beaver. Wasn't it the Beaver?
It was, yeah, the Beaver.
Yeah, you were the Beaver. Still are.
So suffice to say, word got around that little Gorman kid, he's rock hard all the time. Hey, want to give a morning shout out, Inver Grove Heights. We're thinking of you. Glad to have you with us. You know what to do if you're in Inver Grove Heights, for crying out loud.
I know what I want to do with Inver Grove Heights. Yeah, it's on a cold day like today. The beer stube over there. They've got these. I'm going to screw it up again here. Here I go trying to remember something. They're the Reuben egg rolls. Have you had those?
No.
We're talking about a comfort food. Reuben egg rolls with a big, tall, glassy or frosty favorite.
Right on. That'll work.
Inver Grove Heights.
Yeah, fair enough. Number 1 in your top 5 at 9. If you missed it, somehow... The Minnesota Vikings had a football game last night. After an amazing season, they finished 14-4. They lost. Let's see. They were 0-4 against the Rams and the Lions this season. Sam Darnold was sacked 9 times. That's a playoff record. It tied the playoff record. 9 sacks. Sam he loves the feel of a football in his hands.
Yeah, right. He just hung on to it. It's my football.
Man.
Get your own football.
Something about that leather and lace up against his calloused hands, it just must warm his insides.
When you are getting mocked by Buck and Aikman in the second half, not only as Sam Darnold, the player, like when he tried to throw that screen pass out to Jones, and it was like 3 feet out in front of him, and Aikman goes, geez, you can't even throw a screen pass, buddy. But when Joe Buck goes, I don't know if the Vikings know this or not, but they're down 18 points with 10 minutes left, a little less than 10 minutes left, and they're running, it's like a second quarter of a high school football game. Lollygagging a little bit, running the clock down to 3. Even the sideline went, when you don't have it, you don't have it. We saw that look in his eyes, on his face all season long. And then they turned up the pressure. You just got her turned right up there to playoff pressure a couple of weeks ago. And there's Sam Darnold. One of the best memes I saw was some cartoon where there was 2 guys just shoveling money into a furnace.
Oh, man.
That's Sam Darnold's next contract. What do you think he lost? $15 million a year?
Yeah, I legitimately feel bad for the guy because 3 weeks ago, it was 15 days ago. That's how long it's been since that celebration in the locker room after the Green Bay win, where he's in there, the team is carrying him around. They're just like, this is our guy, we're all on board. And then he goes out and has the 2 worst games by far of his season, right when it matters the most. JJ McCarthy. But JJ McCarthy he had both hands on his face to pull his cheeks down to keep the grin off his. He's like, oh my! He has a Cheshire Cat grin going all morning right now because that whole thing about, oh my gosh, Darnold's going to be the quarterback of the future. He is somewhere, but probably not in Minnesota. Man, that was a very impactful performance, to say the absolute very least. The LA Rams, hey, to their credit, our offensive line was beat up and wobbly, and their defensive line and their entire defense, really, really strong performance. But 9 sacks, that's crazy. Once you've been sacked 3 times in the first quarter, you got to start just chucking that ball. You got to just know, if I go back and count to 3 Mississippi and I don't know where I'm throwing the ball, I'm throwing it out of bounds. That was old school Jets Darnold last night we saw. Unfortunately, that does it for the season. Another great year for the Vikings in terms of anytime you finish a regular season, 14-3, you've done a lot of things right. But, man, rough finish to things. So Hope Springs Eternal for the Wild. Hey,
go Wild!
How are the injuries looking?
They've never let us down.
For 20 years I lived in Nashville, Tennessee, and every year in December the chants would start: Titans suck, drop the puck. So there you have it. We got a hell of a hockey team in town, so at least we have that going for us.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.